you please know that you are infringing on the right holders' rights, and this can lead to further legal action to you. Also, there was an idea that maybe we can also, since now laptops have a webcam, when someone clicks on that site, there can be a biometrics way, like a pop-up of a camera to take a picture of that person to make them scared about continue using that site. Yeah, we show them which site. You can also discuss that should your customers and producers decide more established stakeholders can also join the crowd and help to raise awareness on privacy by having videos, also the actors, famous actors, so that people can resonate with the actor if they love them, so that when they are starting a movie or even broadcasting of that person, it shows that what is the comments that what causes are you doing when you are going to a privacy site where you show your art, your favorite actor as a successful person, but the more and more you go to that site, you are then taken away from the income, and now they are going back to the location and staying there, so we show them that whole picture. Or we can use the emotional side, we then use the mothers, and then we see that this is what happens to an actor, like when what happens to your mother when your mother gets scammed at the bank, think that is going to take the for you, but now it's coming to have nothing, so we can also use that. We can also use schools books, which are impactful and we have a motive to stop so the last question that what oversight board regulation of man so that we have to assign that has the same structure as FPB or CCC, so that people can respect and be able to resonate with that the message. That's the message that we're trying to raise. Thank you. We can
thank you, colleagues. I am government. Thank you so much. Us and other colleagues from government met to consider the Electronic Communication Transactions Act as a possible place where we could place the self-blocking articulation. And I think first and foremost, we said in terms of policy and transferable skills, the one that is transferable, the top of mind that we can look into in terms of South Africa would be the Australia one, the Copyright Act, and I think the United Kingdom Copyrights Design and Patents Act. Thank you so much. That was an Ericsson colleague up in as a possible I promise I'm not that first in terms of the second question, so the one that is transferable. You see, one of the biggest challenges of government is that we always have to cater for multiple stakeholders in terms of making decisions, and we should always look into why. And I think the United Kingdom Copyrights Design and government are being charged. We should always look into what other stakeholders are doing on our part, so that whatever it is that we do as government does not necessarily antagonize our colleagues. So we met with multiple stakeholders in government and we came up with a solution that we think we should workable for everybody that is involved. And so in terms of the time frame, we've learned from the FIFA World Cup that when there's necessary urgency, legislation can be changed in time. So there was legislation that was changed over 3 months because of the FIFA World Cup was coming. So 2 years is a very good time to change if there's necessary urgency that we can place, and that those that are affected as the stakeholders within the sectors that we do are in agreement in terms of whatever the changes that are. And in the long term, we do need an amendment, and I think we agree that we can position that amendment is somewhere within the subsection 77 of the FIFA World Cup.
That I always forget.
Electronic Communications Transaction Act that legislation speaks about takedown notices. It can have a caveat that also addresses questions of site blocking. And while that happens in the parallel process, we can also propose that as government we look into empowering organizations like ZEPNA with regulatory powers so that they are able to enforce take-down notices that they are already experiencing. Since we know that whatever domain that is registered in South Africa has to be within that platform, they are the ones who are best positioned to advise us as government in terms of which sites must be taken down. So we should give them some power so that they can take down those sites protected by us as the government. Parallel to that, we're thinking of what happens as government to push the notion of urgency so that the Amendment Act happens faster, is to highlight with our colleagues in social development that whatever content that is put that is pirated is not only challenging in terms of the sectors of creative sector, but it also puts dangerous material that is consumed by children. So if it's a collective effort that is run by multiple stakeholders within our systems, it will necessarily create the support infrastructure that shows the urgency for the amendment to happen. And parallel to that, then we can, with our education, run as trainings and education for innocent transgressors. Those are to highlight what schemes are on YouTube. Development. We don't mean bad, you don't know that what you're doing is wrong, so we should put in some way with our colleagues at education to ensure that we educate in terms of what pirated material is. We already don't charge you for SABC, so there's no need. You know what I mean? So, in summary, in the long term, within 2-year framework, we can have an amendment act if there is agreement amongst us as government and our stakeholders, social development, specifically arts and culture and education. That's in the long term. And in the short term, we can create the education's trainings with Department of Education to educate innocent transgressors, highlighting the importance that whatever it is put that is not verified is not only taking away revenue, but it also produces harmful content. We are government and we are in charge.
Thank you. Thanks to our facilitators and thanks to you for your contributions. I think give yourselves a round of applause. This was really engaging and very constructive, so we really appreciate it. And now we'll just move quickly onto the poll. I think it's the next slide, right?
No, we're just going to go straight into it.
Oh, we'll go straight into it. QR code?
The QR code is in the PDF.
Okay. We'll do this very quickly. Can you kindly scan that QR code? I don't know about the Ericsson guy, if they'll be able to.
Announcement. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, just to use the exit, please use that door because it's quite disturbing when we're opening and closing this door. And there's also an exit in the back on the left. So I just suggest use that exit. Thank you. And entrance. QR code, let's see what it says. Just once. Sign up, of course. Sign up in a few clicks.
Okay, we have In the interest of time, because we're having some slight technical issues, that's what happens in the online environment, we will just do this manually.
Yes.
We have to just pivot. Okay. First question.
Yes.
All right. Unati spoke earlier about the contribution, the economic contribution of the sports, creative and cultural industries to the South African economy, to the GDP. I'll take the quickest hands who can give me the answer. What is that number? Yes. 278, you're close. Unite, can you give it to me? Yes. It's 271 billion. So we'll give it to you. We'll give it to you. Come, Unite. Yeah, come and connect. I think you can take a picture there.
Can I ask you something?
Is the come this side. Come to her.
Okay. Come close.
She's Mureki.
Is it true?
278 billion. Yes. Yes. Smiling. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Darren spoke earlier about the type of content that is frequently pirated in the work that he does. And which content is that? Is it movies and TV shows, music, books and publications, software and digital tools, or live sports broadcast? Show of hands. No, he didn't speak about music. Not music, yes. Software, yes. Do you have more clips? Oh.
Yes, I think so. How many? That's fine.
That's fine. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So Unati spoke about the creative industry contributing 3% to South Africa's GDP. Which other sector is on par with that? Who was first? Was that lady? Sorry? Agriculture. She wants it. All right. Is this the last one? Second last. Okay. Okay. Second last. You help me spot, man.
Okay.
Which is the largest community TV station in Eastern Cape? Umakapa. The last one. Who can tell us what does ECDC stand for? I mean. Okay, another one. I didn't see that it was already there.
Okay. Can you talk about the creative map that's uneven, which provinces did I mention that contribute the largest?
Oh, yes. Which province contributes the largest to the creative economy in South Africa? Bonatti spoke about this, that it's uneven, but which province is it?
The lady up there.
Oh, the lady with the white scarf? Yes. Shout. Gauteng. Next year it will be Eastern Cape.
Okay.
Oh no, there's a camera. Wait, hold on.
Thank you so much. As we wrap up, I just want to thank all our partners, the ECDC, Pumakapa TV, South African Cultural Observatory, Creative Synergy, and I just want to leave you with one thought. Given that it's currently the FIFA World Cup, we're all enjoying all these games you are watching. Just know that there are so many thousands and millions of people that are also streaming these games on pirated sites. You might not be doing it, but there's millions of other people that are doing it. And that doesn't only take away revenues from the broadcasters, but this is taking away revenues from the soccer players and from the development of the sport. Bafana is coming back, well, they just came back home, with 300 million rand from FIFA for reaching the last 32. Most of that money comes from broadcast rights. Now, imagine all the money that goes into you enjoying this viewing experience, from listening to that commentary, those commentators that are paid, from the crew that's shooting in all different angles, from the top, from the drones, from the VAR technology that is improving the sport, from the money that they are paying these players. All of that money could vanish if we all start consuming this content on pirated sites. So we are still, if you're pirating or you know someone in your family that's pirating, you must just tell them it's criminal. It's criminality. You might not be arrested today, but with the work we are doing, we hope those people will be arrested one day. And we need to take down those sites because we are stealing from creatives, we are stealing from the sporting people. So with that, let's all be advocates for against piracy, and thank you very much.
Yeah. I think Colin has already said all the words. What a nice engagement. I think everybody took a lot from this engagement, and hopefully we're all advocates after this session. And let's continue fighting and protecting your rights as your creatives. Thank you so much. Let's go to lunch. Closed session.
Too many people at once.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you kindly tell us your name and the organization that you represent?
Good afternoon. I'm Lionel Billings. I'm the Acting Chief Executive Officer of the Eastern Cape Development Corporation.
Can you briefly outline what the Eastern Cape Cooperative Development does? Oh, is it Eastern Cape Development?
Eastern Cape
Development
Development Corporation.
Corporation.
Yeah.
Can you start again?
ECDC.
Sorry for that. Sorry. Okay, yeah. Can you kindly tell us what the Eastern Cape Development Corporation does?
In relation to the Film Expo, we are the host of the Film Expo, number one. And secondly, in relation to what we do, we are a development agency for the Eastern Cape province. And specifically, we are funding productions within the film and creative sector.
Okay, so can you kindly tell us what we have got from the sessions that we have here today and how it is going to help the work that the organization that you represent does?
Okay, so essentially what I got from this morning into this afternoon is really the impact that film has in our nation and the impact that it has on lives generally from a creative perspective, and to the extent that it has the potential to transform. It has the potential to uplift. So, from an ECDC perspective, what we've been doing is obviously funding certain projects or certain films that we have funded. And the impact of those is the fact that it transports and transforms, I think, the Eastern Cape specifically. And transports us nationally, internationally, so that people understand and appreciate the creativity within the Eastern Cape, appreciate our infrastructure, appreciate our landscape, and what we are able to deliver. So, what came out this morning with Zuko as one of the individuals hailing from the Eastern Cape is the transformative impact that the industry has had. So, firstly, our support as the ECDC, having supported him as a producer, as a creator, and as a creative, and how that has helped him to catapult into even better and bigger stages insofar as the industry is concerned. So it's really just been that impact. So the movies and the films that we have supported to the tune of about 43 million rand has had the impact of drawing in about 520 million rands of co-funding, meaning that the little investment we've made over the years have actually had the opportunity to transform and bring in greater investment into the city and into the province.
Wonderful. Lastly, now, sir, would you say, as someone who represents the organization that hosts this event, that the aims that the organization has been fulfilled so far in the sessions that we have had, starting from yesterday up until this point?
Indeed it has. I think we've achieved what we have set out to achieve. Number one is to profile the industry. Number two, to reflect the potential and the possibilities. And I think number three is to restore hope and to instill confidence. So indeed it has achieved that. And even with our outreaches yesterday in Joza sort of in settlements or township, we've seen just the impact on young people and exposing them to an industry that can transform their lives as it has done for so many already.
Sir, thank you very much for your time.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Afternoon, ma'am. I hope you are well. Can you kindly tell us your name and which organization you represent?
Good afternoon. My name is Zama Mkosi, and I come from a company, Mkosi Media and Entertainment. I'm a media and entertainment lawyer, amongst other things.
Okay, great. Can you kindly brief us on what your company does and your interest in this event that we have here today?
Well, I have been in the business of media and entertainment for over 25 years, and my passion has always been around the business of film. So I'm very much interested in, how to make sure that creative people make a decent and sustainable living doing what they love. And so I've been in the business of the funding of the film industry, the promoting of the film industry, the policy development of the film industry, the regulation of the industry, and now I also do coaching of the industry. So I coach filmmakers in order for them to run sustainable businesses, in addition to providing them legal and insurance services.
Thank you very much. And lastly, how was the experience for you here today, and how do you think it can help you in the work that you are trying to do or you are doing in your organization?
Uh, Platforms like these are very important for the film industry, because operating in the film industry, it's an industry that is not formalized in a great respects, and you find that if you are a creative, you are often working on your own, and you're working on your own, and you are just, you are being creative, you're creating and creating, but you don't understand the full extent of what is happening in the whole industry, because the industry is a value chain. You are not just you creating, but platforms like these enable filmmakers to come to a space where they get to understand the rest of the value chain that impacts the business that they are in. So such platforms are very, very important. They're informative. Over and above, you also get to network and to meet other people that you would otherwise not be able to meet if you are trying to email them or slide on their DMs.
Thank you very much for your time. May you have a wonderful day. Yeah.
There you are.
from a presenter really who doesn't require much of an introduction. His core focus that he will be delivering is building a sustainable media production business in the digital economy. Mr. Simon Makwela is a creative economist, he's a strategist, a policy advisor. He's currently the chairperson of the South African Audiovisual Cluster. He has contributed immensely to the creatives industry and continues to advocate for the development and progression of the sector. He plays an immense and an incredible role in advocacy and lobbying the state. Afake urhulumente nje imvubu now and then on a national platform, especially through the work that he's contributing in Save South African Film Jobs. May we please just give him a round of applause so that we proceed.
Thank you. Wow, guys, I didn't expect such a honorable introduction. For those that don't know me, Simon Makwela is my name. I am, as Ubabu Ubonga has alluded to, I've been a creator for the last 23 years of my life. And I've seen a lot of struggles that filmmakers go through. I've experienced those struggles myself. But what I also intended to do was to learn how to fix them. And that led me down a path. So I'm trying to figure out how to go backwards on slides here. Figured out how to, okay, doesn't matter. How to fix these issues at a systematic level, which is essentially government and creating an environment and an ecosystem that film and television and cinema can exist in. So I've been asked to kind of reduce my the masterclass component of this presentation, just in the effort of preserving time. It is quite extensive. There are a lot of concepts that will be presented today, but it's not up to me to actually teach you how to implement a lot of the things that we're going to discuss today, but it's to give you an idea of where the film industry is moving towards because of the factors that play against the industry itself and the factors that play against the businesses and organizations that exist within our ecosystem that are vital for the sustainability of our beloved film industry. These slides aren't moving. So I don't know if I'm pushing the wrong buttons or where did I push? Where did I push? Take. There we go. Something happened. I don't know what I pushed though. Anyways, so I usually start my presentations by asking two very specific questions. The first one, and we've been filmmakers and we all do things in a way that I want to be proud of them. But who here wants to be a famous filmmaker? Okay, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the balance. Now it's behaving, but it's not behaving. Oh, this thing is slow. Can I go? No, I think let me just do it this way. Let me do it this way. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna have to bear with us. Anyways, as technology works against us. All right, I'll just click. Hi, guys. What am I pushing?
F5. No, Control F.
Yeah, but it's not moving. Like I don't know. I'm trying to go forward and backwards. It's not moving. It just kind of freezes itself. You're there.
Yeah.
That was the right slide.
I'm going to go down. It takes a few seconds for it to go.
Okay, it's fine.
So just press it and just wait for it to go down. Okay, I'll deal with you.
I must apologize because the instructions have led me to believe that this thing will be the taker of our time. Okay, so once we've asked that question of fame, we have to ask the question of success. So who wants to have a successful business? Right, okay, so there's a lot more than one successful business. I do know that I can see that there's a number of film business owners or media business owners who might as well have encountered challenges in the way that you interpret a policy or the way that you interpret a compliance requirement. And those stumbling boards can be resolved just by paying some attention to some concepts that we're going to share today, as I was saying. Firstly, I also want to thank the ECDC for this platform. I was here last year as well, and I presented a masterclass on market access and distribution, which was well received. But one of the key questions that things I was told is that I take the fun out of filmmaking. But I answered that question by saying, yes, it's very nice and fun when you're signing a contract for funding for R1 million, but it's not so fun when you have to pay it back if you don't know how you're going to do it. So it's important to think about those things when you think about how you envision your own success. But there's essentially two priorities to building a successful business. And these concepts and these ideas are founded in frameworks that large corporations use, but also small and medium enterprises can also adopt in order to aspire to become larger enterprises, because sustainability is also part of growth. If you want to grow, you have to learn how to do things properly. It's the same as a tree. In order for a tree to grow roots, the soil has to be fertile. It has to be nourished. It has to be watered consistently. You can't have a tree that is not designed or built to be hardy, that needs water to exist in a desert. But a tree can exist in the desert if it adapts to the desert environment. And we'll talk about that as well in terms of adaptation. Did it move? Didn't move. Didn't move. Hey guys, this is when I call it tokolosh, not technology, tokolosh. All right, so let's define success. Gosh. Sorry, I might be slightly impatient, but it feels like anyway. All right, so. Sorry guys, I can't work like this. I don't know where I'm going here. I'm going to just ask for, can I get my laptop there? I won't keep track of the slide I'm
You just want to go next, eh?
Yeah, I don't know how to go next. It's not.
Press this button, just press it out.
Yeah, but if I push up and down, it doesn't change. Yeah, and then. So I want to go up. We're going too far on the slides. This is the problem that I'm saying. That I can't see where I'm at on the actual.
Oh, you're going to see a presentation mode.
I can't tell which slide I'm on.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm jumping around as if I haven't. Yeah. So I'm supposed to be on this slide. And it's literally jumping that slide the whole time.
Okay, can you just tell me when you're ready? I'll just go up.
Go up and then I'll tell you next slide. Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Sorry guys. It's difficult to keep track of where I am if I don't know where I'm going. Let me say, it's a little difficult to keep track of where I'm going if I don't know where I am. All right, so we want to talk about what is success. What does success look like? So how do you create, how do you build a business that is going to be sustainable, be resilient, and be able to exist in times where there's no formal work. We've been, as a country, we've been going through a number of different crises. The film industry itself is in a crisis, where it started with SABC not being functional. At this point, we've been struggling to... Hey! Yeah, okay. We've been struggling to, the SABC has been struggling to be funded, technically insolvent since around 2016. But the key here is to, and in MultiChoice also going through in that acquisition, they're not commissioning as much as they should be, but they have contributed a large portion to local production. We also got a film rebate system that is currently not functional. In fact, we staged 2 mass demonstrations in January to take the DTIC to the Parliamentary Oversight Committee, specifically because the number of jobs that the film service industry creates and the amount of foreign direct investment that it pulls into the country. Now, these jobs are important for government, right? Government likes to support jobs. But the fact is that we don't have an industry if we don't protect the industry that we are in ourselves. And if you think about how government operates, government will follow where industry is performing. So if you say that, one of the discussions that we have with the DTIC, for instance, is that they don't see us as an industry that needs to be paid attention to. You can go to the next slide. But what is success? Yeah, that one, thanks. So if government doesn't see you as an industry, it means that you're not behaving in a way that they would understand to support you, similar to a car manufacturing industry or mining or construction. Those are big industries for them. If you think about the hoo-ha that happened when Tunga Thulad was about to retrench staff recently, those were thousands of jobs under a single business. Before that, it was Accelerator Metal, which was formerly Expo, which is the steel industry. Those were 4,000 direct jobs that were affected. Now, a single production, most recently we can talk about Pimville, that just happened. That was a loss of 100 jobs on a Pimville set. So that's a drop in the ocean for what government will want to support directly in terms of bailouts, etc. Governments also struggle to bail out the SABC for many, many years, which has led to its dysfunction right now. But they're not going to take us seriously as a film industry, as a film ecosystem, if we don't start working in the same ways that government would support other industries in. So what does that look like in terms of success? You can move to the next slide. The first thing is to define a purpose. If you define a purpose for your business, that purpose will drive you to a destination. Next slide, please. You can go to the next slide after that as well. But what is the purpose? So by defining a purpose, you're basically laying out the ultimate desired outcome and the fundamental reason for your business to exist. Now, so many people will go out there and say, I want to create a film business. Why do you want to create a film business? You're a business person, right? You're a filmmaker. You're a writer. You're a director. You're an actor. That's your craft. That's your talent. That's what you're good at. That's what you make money with. So why do you want to go into the strain of creating a business if you don't understand business? So you've got to think about that as a purpose. You can still eke out a living, or earn a living rather than eke it out, by just doing what you're good at and focusing on that, right? But if you decide to go to a business, into a business, you have to understand the reason and the purpose why that business should exist. Because that's the only way that business can survive, because you will understand the fundamental principles that go into being a business. Being a business is like raising a child. It requires to be nurtured, otherwise it will fail. And the bigger it gets, the more expensive it gets. and then it requires more to sustain. And eventually it needs to be self-sustainable. This is in the same analogy. By the time your business is 10 years old, it should be able to feed itself. It should be able, to sustain itself in a way that it carries its own staff and it can pay for its own bills, and you don't have to keep going back to a friend or a family member to say, keep giving me money to continue this business. But in order to have a purpose, you have to understand intent. So we're going to discuss intent as well. So what is intent? Intent is a specific state of mind, right? And a guiding commitment that is required for you to reach that destination. So if you don't understand the way in which you get to the purpose that you've developed for your business, then you're going to move forward, but you could be going completely in the wrong direction. And that's what we see a lot of times, is that businesses within the film industry can seem like they're moving forward, but they're going in the wrong direction. And basically it dictates to you how every single day you will show up for your business. And showing up for business doesn't mean that you don't have to focus on being creative or focus on being passionate about what you create. But you must understand that at every quarter, you have to go look at the financials. You got to look at the results. Every year, you got to say, how many more people have we created jobs for? How many more mouths are we feeding? If you look at the reports, I'll get to the reporting and understanding the markets. There's something called an economic multiplier that my brother Zuko spoke about earlier, in terms of the impact in which creating a film product has on a community and has on a city, has on a municipality. That is a 5-to-1 multiple. That every 1 rand that is spent on film creates 5 rand within a community. And if you understand those concepts, then you're able to translate those into how you operate your business to grow. Because essentially and eventually you'd want that to be a 7-fold. 1 rand creates 7 rand, because you know how to utilize that 1 rand better to create value within your business that can be translated into what we call shared value in communities, right? So here's the core concept. If you're creating a film business or a media business, especially in the digital economy, because this can be done at scale. I don't have to go and print a DVD. I don't have to go and sell it at a market. But what you're actually doing is you're producing a product for market consumption. Now, consumption means that somebody is willing to pay, to consume, to view, to appreciate, to be entertained by the product that I've created. Remember the word pay. The word market is a trade. A market, like a supermarket, Pick and Pay is a supermarket, right? You go there to buy goods. What you're producing is a product that needs to go into a market that somebody is willing to pay for to get value out of. And if that is the core concept that you leave with today, that's the one. Keep that there. Can you move the slides as I move, please? I'm not looking there, I'm looking here. So next slide. Sorry, yeah, so now we can be on to that. I'm going to say next slide from now. Next slide, please. But you also have to understand the goal. Next slide, please. Yeah, understand the goal. So this goal, as you can see, the diagram is quite specific. We don't have shifting targets here, but goals will move from time to time. But there's one specific goal. I don't know if anyone, I'm going to take 2, 3, let me say 3. Who thinks, what is the goal of a business? Anyone know? Anyone bold enough to just say? Pardon me? Okay, profit is part of it, but it's not really? No.
It's a product that will go into the market to solve a problem and obtain a better.
That's not the goal. I'll give it to you. Next slide. Next slide. Yes. That's the goal. So I said profit is part of it. If you're creating a business to do anything other than make money, and I'm talking about a PTY Ltd here, not an NPC, even NPCs, you have to make money in order to do the job of the NPC or the NGO. You can't do that work without money. The goal is to make money. If you're opening a business other than that, then what is the purpose of the business? So if you're not making money in your business is failing. Right. Now, how do you make money? We're going to talk about this in a framework that has situations, so I'll present you the full situation, and then we'll have resolutions at the end. So we'll go through everything, and I'm going to go as fast as possible. So here's this main situation. South African production companies are operating on a project-to-project basis, right? Sorry, I'm jumping my words here. They need South African production companies. In fact, production companies all over the world need to adopt a more manufacturing-like operating mechanism in order to start guaranteeing output, creating efficiency within their business model. Efficiency means doing things the fastest way, most cost-effective, with the best margins, right? Margins is where you make your money. But we'll get into that. So we need to shift to a more manufacturing-like model. We can't go into manufacturing. Manufacturing is actually a failing. I'm not going to say failing. I'm going to say manufacturing is quite failing in this country because of global economic dynamics. China is the big manufacturing hub, so we can't say that we are manufacturing. The textiles industry, everything is failing because China's got Shein, they've got all of these major manufacturing at the lowest cost that we cannot compete with at this current point. They're now gone into automotive as well. They're pushing out faster and more efficiently, don't know about quality, but faster and more efficiently than the German companies could even, and the Japanese companies could keep up with them, to a point where, they have to rethink their business models. But you have to think about how do we move from where we are now and move forward to where we want to be in the future. And that is to shift towards a more manufacturing thought process where you're thinking systems and you're building those systems to create value in your organization that investors can invest in, because you want to create asset value out of that, right? Next slide, please. Next 2 slides. All right, so we're here. So the first situation, complication number 1, is many South African media production companies operate as project-to-project entities. Now, this is a real reality, that you have one project today, it lasts you for 3 months, which is the quarter of the year. You deliver that, the broadcaster owns it, and, that's the next one you have to go look for. Then you do the same thing over and over again. Now, if you continue down that cycle, there'll be months where your pitches will go unanswered, and this happens a lot, or some funding will not be released in time, or something will fail, and you have to now focus on other aspects of your life to bring it back. And this has contributed vastly to what we call the brain drain in our industry, where skilled professionals are actually leaving our industry to go and find work elsewhere and build production companies elsewhere. So we want to retain those skills in the country, but we can't do that if we're operating project to project as businesses. Right. Next slide, please. I'm going to jump through these. And the next slide, please. Complication 2. Thank you. So most media production companies don't own their intellectual property. We've raised this a couple of times in the sessions today, and they operate with a small asset basis. Now, if you've got to think about McDonald's, for instance, as an example, McDonald's owns every property, or let me say 90% of the properties that they operate in. That is part of building their asset base. In a production environment, you'd want to own your equipment, you'd want to own your offices, but you can't do that immediately. I can't just go and ask government to give me a grant, knock on NFVF's offices and say, give me a grant for 2 million rand so I can go buy camera equipment. You have to start and say, okay, I'm going to rent for the first couple of years until I find the tools of my craft that I'm able to use, and then eventually acquire those tools so that you can own them internally. And what that creates is an asset base that you're able to go and lend against as well. And that goes back to building your IP, because IP, the notion of IP is if I pay for it, I own it. So if you come to me and you say, hey, Sai, please fund my project, I'm going to give me all of your IP, and then I will go and make money out of it. I'll pay you for your concept, but I'll go make, or we could share it. It depends on how you look at it. But a broadcaster operates on that. Some of the most amazing shows have been created by the most talented writers and concept creators and everything, but they're owned by the broadcasters. And when the broadcaster negotiates, when MultiChoice now negotiated to acquire, when Canal Plus negotiated to acquire MultiChoice, the IP that now sits in a different entity was part of the deals that were negotiated, and they had to literally carve that out of the deal so that that IP remains on South African soil. That's how valuable IP is. But a lot of filmmakers neglect the IP conversations outright. So IP also forms part of your asset base. As you build as a business, you retain the ownership of that IP that can be traded as well against the value of your business. Next two slides, complication number 3. And the last complication is, next one please. Most South African media production companies, again, South Africa is just because we're here, this is mainly inherent to all production environments. Next slide please. Lack systems. So what are systems? You can't rely on a freelancer that you're going to hire now for the next 3 months to bring your systems into your business. That's not having a business. And that's also selling off a lot of the value that you have of your business, because you can't retain that as your own intellectual property. So intellectual property also sits within the systems that you have. I'm going to talk about McKinsey, for instance. McKinsey has frameworks that have been created. McKinsey is one of the largest management consulting firms. In fact, there's the top 3, Boston Consulting, McKinsey, and what's the last one? So there's 3 of them. There's Boston Consulting Group, there's McKinsey, and then Accenture. Accenture is actually also is the world's biggest employer. I'm missing the last one though. Accenture isn't one of the top 3. Sorry? No, PwC is not one of the top 3. But anyways, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is that they build frameworks that they own, and they trade those frameworks within the consulting market if you want to use them. Yes, they're available just to use, but the training is because if you go to McKinsey to be trained, you will pay for that training. So if you have a system and you utilize your own system, you're able to not only prove to an investor that you know what you're doing and you're running a company that has standards and practices, and also can retain those standards and practices even when a freelancer leaves. Because what happens when someone comes into your business is that they will bring those expertise, but you won't retain what's in their brain. But if you build those systems yourselves, you can retain that as institutional memory. And that's important. That's what an investor would like to look at when they say, how do you guarantee that I'm going to get an outcome out of this? Those are the 3 complications we're going to deal with. Next slide, please. Next slide, 2 resolutions, please. Yes, thank you. We're on the right page now. First resolution, and I'm going to run through this as fast as. Please give me a time check. I need about another 20 minutes, please. All right, cool. Thanks. So resolutions. Next one. Next slide. Yeah. The first one is you have to protect your production's fee margins. Now, what does that mean? Next slide. In a commission production, the commissioner will pay you, the commissioner being the broadcaster in this case, will pay you between 8 and 10% of your production total value as what they call a production fee. Now, that's your margin. Now, this would be whether it's grant payment. I've been told to say recoupable grant because you have to pay it back now. Now it changes the game. So you have to at least make an effort to pay it back. ECDC has a recoupable grant that they pay as an incentive. They give you the money, but you have to prove that you can pay it back. I think NFF, I stand to be corrected, NFF is in the room here, so I had a conversation earlier. But yeah, you have to be able to prove that you can pay it back. And that's through mechanisms like distribution and being able to understand what market you're selling your product in, right? But in a normal scenario, you want to be able, in normal business, when you know that you have high demand and you can place more value on the cost of the product to charge people more to buy what they want from you. Think about Louis Vuitton, for instance. Louis Vuitton is not necessarily an expensive product, but it's an expensive brand. What you're paying for is the brand value, because there's a Chinese sweatshop somewhere that produces it for a fraction of the price, at the same quality, using the same materials and the same hardware. But because you're going to go to Diamond Walk in Sandton and hold hands and pull out a black credit card and pay, they're going to charge you 40,000 Rand for something that's only worth about 4,000 Rand. And that's the value that you're building in there. So that margin, as a 10% margin, is very low. You want to be in a business environment where you can push it to 20, but it's impossible when you are the receiving party and the commissioner's now saying that we'll only pay you between 8 and 10%. Now you've got to negotiate for that 10%. It doesn't come for free. So you've got to know how to negotiate it. Great concept, willing buyer, willing seller model. There's demand, you're creating demand against this, what you're supplying for that market, right? But you also have to be careful about the contingencies that plays against. Now, we build in a contingency in our budgets for production, but sometimes, things go really bad, and now you're cutting into that little production margin, that little profit margin that you had, and you walk away with nothing. This is why you end up with non-payment situations, because of recklessness on hiring or recklessness on budgets, or, you're playing with the money too much. And then you end up at Madlanga Commission with tissue on your forehead. But it's very difficult, especially when we talk about recoupment, because you're not sure, unless you do the right critical calculations, things such as market size and market appetite, because those cannot be predicted. Those can only be created through things like marketing and a promotion as well. But you have to protect that 10% at all costs. And the best way to protect them, like I said, is have a purpose. Why am I making this film? Who am I making this film for? This television product. How many people are going to buy it? And then building those systems in so that you're able to reduce your costs, remain within margins, remain within scope so that your scope doesn't creep, and finally be able to report back on what the commissioner has asked you to deliver on, and then get your next contract from that. So let me give you another manufacturing example. Toyota has one of the best production line and supply chain systems in the world. And they've developed a concept called Kaizen. Kaizen is consistent and never-ending improvement when it comes to management practices. You guys might have seen Six Sigma and all of these things. That's all based on the Kaizen principle. But in the supply chain, like I said, they have the best supply chain in the world. In the supply chain, they don't create every single thing on the assembly line. That's why it's an assembly line. It's designed to assemble everything that you've created, that you've acquired from your suppliers, so that you can put it into this car. Now, a car could have anything up to 1 million, 2 million components, including screws and stuff. Those are all acquired from different suppliers altogether, the same way as a production. You're acquiring even the gaffer's tape. You're getting that from media, film services, but it's coming through your camera assistant. You've got your cameras coming in from Magic Lightbox Company or Panavision. All of those are part of a supply chain. Now, they manage that supply chain so well. They've got blueprints to what exactly the specifications are of this. This is why, a lot of editors and producers will complain about something called revision, where the commissioning editor will sit in the room with you and say, no, change this, change this, change this, change this, change this. That's a critical part of the process. Why? Because it fits into what they know their market is expecting of a specific product, and they want that market to be able to receive that at the best value that they can give it to, so they can go and sell that value to advertisers. That's the model. But if you fail to produce it at specification, then it will be rejected. A common thing that happens in our production value chain is subtitling, where there'll be spelling errors or grammatical errors, and it wastes time. So you want to be able to have the best person that you can afford doing the subtitles that has the right systems. They know they're going to do it, then they're going to check it, then they're going to check it again, then they're going to fix it, then they're going to deliver it at the right extension so that it fits properly into your post-production software and it's well timed to your footage. Any part of that process goes wrong, you have to go back for another cycle, which is a waste of time, a waste of money, waste of resources, etc. So you want to be critical on those things. Why? Because it impacts your bottom line, which is your your cost margins. Next slide, please. I could labor on these forever, but yeah. So here's what it looks like. On the left-hand side, the gold column, that's your 100% of what they'll pay you. You typically spend about 60% on that of what we call direct costs. Now, direct costs are the costs that will have screen value. Now, what screen value is that you've got your camera that shoots the person that you're going to see on the television. You've got your DIT, the person that removes that footage, makes sure it's secured, puts it in a hard drive, and sends it to post-production. Then you've got, okay, let me actually, before I even, because I'm going to get shouted at, I know I'm going to get shouted at. You've got your writer. Your writer writes the script. Your director interprets the script. Your director blocks the scene, puts that onto the set. Your DOP shoots it with a camera. That footage goes onto the card goes to that's the value chain that sits at that direct value chain, that sits at that 60%. It goes through post-production, and then it gets to the final MXF file that is delivered to the broadcaster. That's your critical value chain. You spend 60% of your budget on that. Your indirect value chain, these are your caterers that need to support, your logistics budgets. Those will take up around 15 to 20% of your budget. Then the scope creep. So you always build these contingencies in. So you'll either build it into the cost of the product, and when you build it into the cost of the product, you know that I can negotiate around this price because there's price fluctuations. The price of petrol goes up. You didn't plan for it, but it's in your budget because you've added that as a contingency line item in your fuel allowances. That's common practice. That goes into about 15% of the budget, including the 5% contingency that you put at the on your after you've put in your insurances, etc. And then you're only walking off with that 10%. But that 10% in green is the most critical thing that drives your business. Why? Because the goal of business is to 100%. Next slide, please. Now, the next thing is you have to diversify. Think about this. This is a concept. You can't get this overnight. It's impossible to build a portfolio like this overnight. Using what we call a good, better, best structure for your portfolio. Now, what is good, better, best? Let me just jump 2 slides, because then I can explain it better on the graphic. Next slide, and next slide, please. Get to the triangle. So what this means basically is that you want to build a business where you're able to say that I am creating multiple assets at a single time, that if one asset fails, then I have other assets that will still support my businesses. I'm going to go to the agricultural model. As my colleagues at SACO said, film industry is equal in output to the agricultural industry. But the agricultural industry has robust systems on how they go into the market. Now, there's bigger production companies that are very good at building this model. You've got your Urban Brew, you've got your Rapid Blue, you've got your Red Pepper, you have, now I'm going to say, Known Associates, right? That's just 5 that I can name that utilize a model like this, right? Where they'll have a flagship project, maybe they'll do 2 flagship projects in a year. These are your big budgets, your movies that cost 15 to 20 million rand. And they focus on bringing in that 15 to 20 million rand in revenue, not profit, in revenue into your business so that you can sustain jobs. But it will also give you 10% of that would be your profit margin that you can now report back to your investors and shareholders to say that we've created a 15 million project will give you 1.5 million in profits. And you go back, it's like, no, we'll give you a portion of this as your investment that you have in the business. And then we'll reserve some to go buy new cameras, etc. the other year. But you'll have 1 or 2 of those projects at top tier. Now, most businesses usually only have 1 top tier project and they call it a day. They don't go out. Cheds is also building this as well. Stained Glass has this, so you see them repetitively as they keep getting commissioned, etc. Then you have your better tier, which you're not extending your top resources to. And we'll get to resources in terms of the word human resources as well, because people are resources, by the way. They hate being called resources, but we're resources to a business. But you're not extending your top resources to create a better project. It's not your best project. You got your best resources up there creating that. The ones that you can sit there for 20 minutes klar on golden hour and catch the best sunset that's only going to appear for 10 seconds in your film. That's your best project. This one, you need a shot of the moon. Go and get the moon, and it's just one shot. You can even use stock footage for that, because the value doesn't sit in that component. So you'll have maybe 2 or 3 of those that know that consistently I'm using this to pay the bills, to keep the business running, to keep the lights on, so that if any one of my top tier projects goes out, then at least we can still retain our staff and we don't have to retrench, or we can still create consistent holds on the jobs that we already have. And then the good tier is what you just do to sweat your assets. If you have a camera that's just sitting there and not necessarily bringing value in, you utilize that to create a YouTube series maybe, or a podcast, etc. So that you know that eventually those will pay you on a long-term basis just to have something there and entertain your audiences, right? So this is a good model. Now, the arrows on the right and the left, the risk goes up because it's high risk to be spending 15 plus million. A telenovela these days is about anything between 80 and 100 million rand. But if a telenovela fails, I won't mention which one failed recently. If the telenovela fails, then that money is wasted, because your audiences are left halfway through the season saying, what's going to happen next? We're never going to see the end of the story. And that's a high risk. And that high risk needs to be absorbed somewhere or mitigated somewhere. So you know that if that happens, then you still have other things, which is risk reduction. But you also have high revenue potential on the right-hand side. So the revenue potential is high because how many times is a business going to get one project that's going to bring in 15 to 20 million rand in one go, especially in media? But you can maybe find things that are going to give you 600,000 to maybe 1.5 million, which is like Mzansi Bioscopes, etc. So don't shy away from the less prestigious projects just to chase the fame. Remember, we spoke about being famous as opposed to being sustainable. And then as an owner, you want to get out of the way of the day-to-day business so you can focus on strategy. Now, what does strategy look like? Strategy looks like concept development. You're developing a concept that's going to align with audiences, because that's not the job of the producer to do. That's the job of the creative director to do. And the owner of the business that owns the IP at the end of the day to come up with the concepts, and then employ people to come and assist you in developing those concepts. That's why there is development funding. They don't pay you, NFF won't give you money to come up with the concept. They'll give you the money to develop the concept further. And that's the concept of that. I'm going to rush through that. So by the owners getting out of the day-to-day, are you moving with me up there? Sorry. Next slide. You're going to get to the 2 pillars and get out of the way of the day-to-day and into the business. Keep going. Next slide. There we go. So essentially, the current status is that the owners are there every single day doing something that they technically don't need to be doing. If you have the right people employed, which is the intention, get the right people so that they can do the work, so that you can focus on the business, so that the business can grow and be sustained, so that you can go have a meeting without having to stop production because you're sitting there directing the whole thing. That's not your job to direct. It's your job to employ the best director you can afford. Excuse me, I won't be here. The best director you can afford so that you can get the job done at the right cost, at the right value, and for the right client. Not every client needs a Tebogo Malope. Right? Not every client needs a Zuko no data. So we don't have to be out there shining and saying, oh, Zuko signed on to my film. Sorry to make an example. Zuko signed on to my film, and now you're going to use his name to get there. But then you realize halfway through that you can't even afford Zuko. Now what happens? The risk is high. Now you must replace Zuko with someone that can pretend to be Zuko, and you won't find that person, Shem. So let's be clear that when you intend to do something as a business owner, you're not going to be sitting there yourself directing the film just because whenever you've attached your name to it. Go and find the right person to do it for you. But if you also want to, like I said in the beginning, you are a director, and you're a phenomenal director at that, then to replace your function as the business, hire a business development person that's going to be able to do the job that you are now leaving behind. I'm running out of time. Next one. Next slide. I'm available after this to chat. Just don't want to keep everyone here for too long. So you're going to build a core team around the functions that you can't outsource reliably. And this is important because, next slide. Because you want to have a finance person that understands your finances over time so that they can tell you where you're growing or not. This is financial management 101. You have to be able to look at the books and understand those books. Know that this project's going to cost us this. Is this a good project for us to enter into? Because not every project is good. Not every project that you talk about is the juice worth the squeeze. No, it's not, because you're trying to squeeze the rind now. But your business doesn't operate on the zest of the orange. It needs the orange juice. But now you're squeezing it, and you're spending energy to do that. Energy is resources. So you need to know which project's a good project and which project you let go of. Some projects might come out to say it's not the and guys, this is why I cannot emphasize more as a business. The most expensive project or the project that comes in at the highest budget that they're saying we'll give you this 20 million does not mean it's the best project. Because that 20 million can cost you 19 million, right? And then you only walk off with $1 million. But there's also a project that can come in at 15 million and give you 1.5 million. And then that's the better project. And you have to know how to do that. And there's people that we call them creative, non-creative workers in the creative sector. Those are your chartered accountants that focus on running productions. Because if you don't have a good accountant on your project, you're not going to know where you're going wrong. You're not going to be able to file for it. Hey guys, there are people that go, I don't know how many times in the last 2 years, 3 years, that filmmakers have been in the news for not paying PAYE. And that's a compliance issue. So if you don't understand how to calculate PAYE, then get someone who does and pay them the rate that it takes to do that job. Don't take that risk because you'll end up in jail. One of our top producers, unfortunately was duped by somebody else that worked for him and ended up with a 26 million rand PAYE bill recently. I won't mention who it is, it's not my place. Next slide, please. 2 slides. We're going to go to create a vetted freelancer bench. In the creative industry, the Department of Labor and Employment and Labor has not, they're working on deeming creative workers that work for over a period of time as employees. Now, this is important because you're working with independent contractors. Independent contractors don't function like employees. Those are freelancers, basically. So what you want to do as a film business is have what we call a vetted bench. It's people that you can call instantly and say, I'm working on a project, we work well together, I know your values I know you have systems that speak to my systems because we've built them over time together, and keep those on hand. But if you have consistent projects, you'll never have to let go of them, right? So for instance, BOM, everyone knows BOM. They've done Shaka Ilembe, they did Yizo back in the day. BOM has 3 directors that they employ on almost a permanent basis. Zeno, Adze, and Angus. Those 3 you'll always see on their productions. Why? Because they are employed by BOM, but they are critical to the production. But there's also freelancers that they instantly will call. Those are their core employees and directors of the business as well. But they will call these freelancers because they know that we can have very short setup time. I'm not going to get into operations because setup times are important, but shorten the setup time, get into production, do the production, get out. Why? Because these people understand your culture in the business. They understand that this is how we work. This is how that person speaks to people. It's not a problem because we'll understand each other. It's just business for now. Because then you end up with problems when you start hiring people that are outside of that culture. They'll come with a different culture. And this is important. We're not saying they aren't bad people. We're not saying there aren't bad practices, but culture is important in every single business. This is why people will leave one insurance company to go work for another insurance company, because the culture is better. So understand that in the film industry, you also as a freelancer want to be able to work with businesses that resound with your values and cultures as well. You don't want to just go work for anybody because you know you're going to be uncomfortable. So by having a vetted bench of freelancers, you're able to not have to hire from scratch every single time to keep them going. Next slide, please. And then we've spoken, next slide as well. I've spoken about this. I'm literally flying through these things. But also document the roles, not just the relationships. Don't say, because Bongi is my friend, I'm going to work with Bongi. But I haven't documented what her role entails as a writer. No, every time we hire a writer, because if Bongi is not available, I need to go to another writer. Sorry, Bongi is the Bongi Ndaba. She's my deputy at the audiovisual cluster. She's also the head writer on Generations, which won't tell you that. But that's Bongi there. So if I hire her for her values, like I said, a top writer, if I hire her on the value that she's a top writer, but then I can't find her and I want to go to somebody else, I have to be able to document that role so that I know that I need these deliverables, and these deliverables speak to how we operate, and then have a contract. Please, contracts are important, guys. I can't stress how much the importance of a contract, because when that relationship goes sour with your best friend, your brother, your sister, it goes bad. And business is the biggest breakup of relationships in the world. So document the roles, not just the relationships. Don't have a black book of just, I know these people. And next slide, please. This links to the second and third complication. Since an inability to staff is an inability to build those systems that we need. So once you can't have a staff without documenting those roles, then you can't build a staff in future that carries that business acumen, the institutional memory that you built over to the next person that will be joining at a later stage. And then the next one, which is the building standard templates. So this is a resolution for complication 3. Next slide, please. Yeah. Building standard templates for core production functions. This also borrows from the last resolution. So that you have those templates ready. You're not expecting your assistant director or your production manager to come in with a call sheet, because you're going to spend hours editing that call sheet to reflect the information that you as a business require, so that you can record it and then you can report it back to your commissioner, because the commissioner does want to see your call sheets every time, and they want to be included in where you're shooting, when you're shooting, how you're shooting, and if there's any risks and challenges, then your insurance company wants to see those call sheets as well, because they'll be like, we're not going to pay out because it wasn't raining on this day, so why are you telling me that you had stoppage because of rain and you want to claim back on us? You know, so have those standard templates with all the information that you require as a business, so you're not building them from scratch when you need them. And this is for, like I said, for core production functions. You have to have templates for everything. But the core production functions, you're reporting back. Your music cue sheets, at least there's now software that's quite comfortable now to do cue sheets. But we had to do cue sheets back in the day for SABC, and it used to take a long time to do those. But if you don't have a system in place and you don't have the templates in place, then you can't do those easily. So yeah, I'm going to jump again to the next one. Second one is create a company playbook. Now, what is a company playbook? We do this, like this, for this purpose, right? Concept, we do this. Intent, like this, for this purpose. That's where that fits in. So you have to understand that if you have a playbook, you always know. We create children's shows, right? I'm going to say this because this is going to be the future of what we're talking about. Sorry, Nasipo. Using AI for a Nickelodeon audience. We do this, like this, for this purpose. That's your playbook. And you can do this for a number of different aspects of your business as well. If you understand that we issue call sheets, simple concept, we issue call sheets in this format so that we know what's happening. The purpose is to know what's happening. The concept is issuing call sheets. The intent is in this format. So you can build all of those as, like I said, a concept like that. Anyways, moving forward. Next slide. Next slide. Why am I behind? Okay, here's the playbook slide. Yes, there's the playbook into right. And then last one is treat system building in your production as an investment and not just as an administrative burden. And what does that mean? That means that you can take these documents, sit down in front of any potential investor and explain to them how you do things and what you do those things for. Because it's important for them to understand. Like I said earlier, your bankers don't understand what you do. They see filmmaking as a vibe. It's passion, it's expression, it's art. Their value is to watch it on screen, laugh a bit, and then change the channel. That's the value they extract. But we're a very high performance and high value economy that contributes. I mean, this is art in all the forms. Music. Film industry brings music. Film industry brings carpentry, craft. It brings textiles in. It brings everything in to one basis. But you have to build those systems on how you manage all of those bases in order to create value and then create shared value out of that. We talked about it. And additional advice, again, understanding your market. These are the last two slides. I promise you the last two slides. Last year I went on for 2 hours. It was enough. So understanding your market. Markets are important. Like I said, you're creating a product for market consumption. A market is important. This is why you won't find Woolworths in a rural area a lot of the times. Because Woolworths, you're not Woolworths' target market. If you're, I'm sorry, it's the truth. There's mass markets, there's niche markets, all of that. But understand what market you're serving. So I'll give you some statistics. I know you've been overwhelmed with statistics. South Africa, close to 65 million people in the country, right? But you also have a very high unemployment rate. That's fluctuates between 31 and 35%, with 60% youth unemployment, especially in other areas. Now, all of these statistics matter when you understand your market. we have a consumer base of around 32 million people, but you have 28 million people sitting on a grant, right? You have a tax base of 12 million people. So you have a large informal market of about 43 billion rand across the country. Now, what does that mean to you? That means that when you're creating a product, right, you will only be and we know about this because markets tell stories. With a consumer base of 32 million people, if you go and look at the top watch show on SABC1, what is it? Uzalo, ne? It's Uzalo, ne? Skim Sam and Uzalo. Skim Sam. That's 6 million viewers, right? I think it's about 6 million viewers. Now that's double. That's 20% of your consumer market, if you think about it. But also because it's on a free-to-air channel. The moment you go to DSTV, you're constrained by the pay television portals and stuff. So you got to understand that market. You can't make a film or a media product for everybody. You're going to miss me entirely. So think about that. English is the most consumable. I'm not saying produce in English, but English is the most consumable format. Find a way to tell stories to feed into a market, the market that you intend to. You can't say, I'm going to make it for everybody and then just make it at least closer without having subtitles or thinking about dubbing it or having other dialogue that guides a non-Xhosa watcher. Squid Games is a Korean show, but when you watched it, you couldn't tell because they dubbed it so well. And it was one of the largest shows on Netflix at the time. The last one is this, and this is where I'm going to leave you guys. The key insight: your budget must align with your distribution strategy and not your creative ambition. Right? I love my grandmother. She's the love of my life. Wonderful woman. Do you guys care about my grandmother? So that's the fact, is that your project is your passion, your desire to make it. You have to understand, if I make a film about my grandmother, I'm making it for me, I'm not making it for you. Unless I tailor it in a way that my grandmother's story speaks to your story as well, and you can see yourself in that story. The struggle, the thing. Sarafina worked well because Sarafina was every little girl that was going through the school system during 1980s and 1970s. It worked well. Neo in the Matrix worked well because every little boy or every child that came out of there wanted to be Neo. Transformers worked well, even though Michael Bay says he got sold out because he's making movies for 16-year-old boys. But the 16-year-old boy is the guy that will say, oh, Mom, look, that's cool. In fact, he took that, oh, Mom, that's cool, and put it into the second movie when the robot fell off of the bridge, because that is his audience. You want to see yourself in the story. This is why you'll go and read a fiction book, so that you can feel it. Daniel Steele used to write for women, and women used to read Daniel Steele. Right? Harry Potter is written for a specific demographic. It just so happens to be a large market. So think about that. If your distribution strategy says, I'm going to go to these territories to speak to these markets, your market size comes in, we can go, can we keep the slides going? It's such a pretty slide I'm looking at here, but you can't even see it. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Next one. That's the slide.
It is pretty.
So think about it that way. You can have a creative ambition, but it has to meet your budget to do it, the cost at which you do it in. Sorry, my back just locked up. The budget that you do it in has to align with the money that you make in the market. If you can't say that I'm spending 10 Rand and I'm going to be making 20 Rand in the market, it's a bad project. Right? Because it has to make money. A Hollywood model is 200%. If a film does not make 200% of its budget, including marketing, it's called a box office flop. We've had very many of those in South Africa because we don't have a large enough market size. And the last time I'm going to ask is that what is the highest grossing film in South Africa? Does anyone know? Hi, when I put your head down. NFEF, put your head down. Highest grossing film. South Africa made. Yes, Leon Schuster, which one? Which one? Yes, Mr. Bones, which one? 3. Mr. Bones 3. Bought in 38 million rand. Now you know you can't make a film that's going to cost what? Half of that. 20 million films are good. NFEF has boldly gone and introduced what they call a blockbuster budget. Boldly. We thought about what a blockbuster is. I'm sorry, I'm not throwing shade at NFEF. They are very, very close compatriots at DSAC. But the question is that what are you aiming for? You have to know what you're aiming for in order to make that money back. I don't know if there's time for a Q&A. I don't think there is, but if you have any questions, I will be here. But thank you for letting me bore you after lunch with great ideas and concepts. I hope I leave you with something. If anything, I hope I leave you with an idea of what a strategy looks like when we put it together to create sustainability in media, especially in a digital economy, where everyone is your competition. I know my older brother Zuko said that we need more collaboration, but competition is also healthy. You can't be making the same thing just because you're collaborating. I want to see the same thing but different from the next filmmaker, so that we build and we innovate and we have better and better and better films that speak to bigger and bigger markets. And everyone should be telling someone to go at least once a month they can afford it to go and watch a film at cinema. Our cinemas are bleeding. And cinema is one of the biggest performers in the film industry in terms of employment. One film can employ, like I said, can employ 100 people in one go, which is, again, the target of the blockbuster is 100 jobs on a film with the NFEF. If you're going to go for that, if it happens again, it's 100 jobs that need to be created from a 10 million rand budget. So if you keep that in mind, 10 million rand plus, keep that in mind, keep your brothers in industry safe, keep them close, look after each other, and build on each other's successes and build sustainable businesses. Thank you very much.
Needs support. Thank you very much, Mr. Makwela. Can we please just give him another round of applause? I think we need an entire day just dedicated, to tease out these concepts, all of these rich elements, that contribute towards sustainability. I'm really fascinated about these recoupable grants. I really want to know what they mean about these things in these terms. But thank you so much. There's a lot we can extract from that particular session. Building systems, the intent, scaling IP as an asset. Sorry, did I need okay. Yeah, IP as an asset, ensuring that your goals are defined. Yesterday at Joza, one of the speakers there, I think Udawit, and he was quite clear saying that, look, man, if you've got a plan B, go and implement it. Because you cannot be half-hearted into this particular sector. It's either you are fully invested and all of these elements and components, you have to suck it in and ensure that you position yourself, you grow your entities so that they do become sustainable. So thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, our next presenter is going to be unpacking the value of OTT platforms in the film distribution. Really, we struggle as creators. We have these wonderful ideas that we want to share with the world. However, there are commercial dominant platforms that are quite restrictive. What other ways are there to get our work out? And not only just to get our work out, but you also want to obviously earn from it or to sustain you. So the next lady is Princess Zinziswa Soga. Princess is not her name, it's her title. Who is an accomplished producer, creative and entrepreneur. She champions the creative industry development in the province. She has a value. She's created, the Expo OTT platform for film distribution, and dedicated to advancing the sector in terms of skills development, including content distribution and audience growth. We are pleased. Please just put your hands together for Princess Zinzisoga. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and that's good. No 30 minutes. Is that enough? Yeah. Oh, no, technology is something. After lunch,
Morning, good afternoon, Dumelang, Goeiemiddag, Almal. I just want to first thank you, appreciate ECDC for the opportunity to come and share my 2 cents contribution regarding the industry. Ndingungosazana uZinziswa Soga. I am the descendant of Udio Soga, the founding father of the creative arts industry in South Africa. Those are the great shoulders that I'm standing on. Hence, this is my life. So I urge all the creatives and the creators in the room to work with me on this presentation, because I believe that the technology is really it's under the weather today. So we'll just do what we need to do as creatives and be creatives. So I'm talking on the value of OTT platforms. OTT platforms are currently bridging the gap in the distribution market through digital innovation. And I thank Ubutsai, who was here before me, because my presentation is very strong. It's gravitating towards the presentation that he had. So it will be very interactive, the artist. I know there are stakeholders from ECDC, ECPEC, and all that. Through the show of hands, can I see the creatives in the room? Active creatives that are in the film industry. Okay, thank you. So I want us to talk about distribution. So what comes into mind when we talk about distribution? Show of hands. When we talk about a distribution, like distribution, what do we distribute? In any form, not necessarily in film. What do we distribute? Product, exactly. So if we can go to slide 4, where there's a picture of agriculture. So picture number 1 and picture number 2, can someone tell me what kind of products are there and what are the anticipated market for picture number 1 and picture number 2? Show of hands. Yes.
I would say picture number 1 is for domestic, like for India. Picture number 2 is for selling and commercial.
Okay. All right. So do we agree on that narrative? Okay. If we can go to slide, the next slide, please. So, according to picture number 1 and picture number 2, can we tell that where do we see picture number 1 and picture number 2 on this? And if we can be detailed about that. Any show of hands? Yes, ma'am.
So picture number 1, I would say goes on to the left. And then picture 2, which is sort of like on the shipping containers to export.
Okay. Okay, so if we look at picture number 1, it's a home garden. And that home garden is targeted at personal consumption, like direct distribution to the far left. Oh Lord, sorry. So, and picture number 2 is targeted at what? At global distribution, national and global distribution, because that's where you see SPA and you see the containers. So that's how similar and relatively you will see our sector in the film industry. Sorry, guys. So if we can move to the next slide. So what is OTT platform? OTT platform is the first picture whereby you produce, it's a service that goes directly, it bypasses all the other channels, the traditional channels, directly to the consumers. Do you get me? So you bypass, instead of having a distribution agency to take your product, your potato, you bypass it and you deliver that service directly to the consumer, which are the people that are watching it through the internet. So that's an OTT platform. And another viable way you can think of is your mobile cinema. Because due to the high concentration of internet and mobile devices in Africa, more especially South Africa, so you can think of your cell phone as a mobile cinema. And that is the role the OTT platform is playing. So it removes all the red tapes that we've been here. I've been there, I've been on those shoes, whereby you struggle to get a distribution deal or a distribution agency. And when you need to go to DTI, you need to first prove to them that you do have a distribution agreement in place for you to be able to apply for exactly. So an OTT platform, it cuts all those red tapes to a point whereby you don't need any distributor, you distribute direct. And that's the power all the creatives in this room are having. If we can go to the next slide. Currently in global markets, the global OTT platform markets is experiencing exponential growth, with total subscribers surpassing 1.6 billion. And if the total subscribers are surpassing 1.6 billion, can you ask yourself, where are you in that 1.6 billion? Next slide, please. And if you look, PricewaterhouseCoopers, This is it's a summary of what they said in their report, that streaming platforms are expanding throughout South Africa, throughout Africa, and we've got 3 major markets. It's Nigeria, it's Kenya, and South Africa. Those are the 3 major markets. And South Africa, we've seen that with Showmax, but where is Showmax today? I'm sorry, but it's just an example. And just to show you that how the structure and what we are facing as creatives, and the need of having local OTT platforms. And that was the reason when I saw that all doors are closing on me, I was like, if kwaXhosa xa ugxothwa endlini enkulu uphuma uyephi? Uye endlini encinci uyozinqonqela igali yakho okanye uphuma uye endlini encinci. That's exactly what I did. Next slide, please. And the key market dynamics is the growing internet. Okay, I've done that. Next slide, please. The benefits to the filmmakers about uzinqonqela igali is that you eliminate all the red tapes that I spoke to about. You get to have a wider audience. Let me make an example about the Eastern Cape. Not even the Eastern Cape, urban areas in South Africa, just urban and rural. Urban and rural areas, according to the study that I've done when I decided to go and ngonqa my own shack, which is Embo OTT, Embo Plus, I discovered that such marginalized communities, they don't have the luxury of subscribing to Netflix, because that 199 of subscribing to Netflix, they are thinking of buying a 2 kg of a meal, a flour, or a combo for that matter at ShopRite, or a combo wherever. With 199, do you get me? The 350 that young people are getting today, they don't have the luxury to subscribe to a Disney Plus of 99 rand. I'm not sure how much is it, but it's somewhere there. So with that 350, it's a full grocery meal. And that's the reality. But that reality doesn't eliminate the fact that our own people, they want to consume local content. And there's a need for that. And what is the way forward? The way forward is to partner with an OTT platform. What Uputsugo said earlier on, collaboration. And ensuring that when there's an existing OTT platform, a local existing platform, OTT platform, you've got ECDC and other that are giving you grants, like 150, I think it's 150K micro budget. I stand to be corrected at from ECDC. Those are micro budget productions. You do your micro budget production, then you distribute your work to an OTT platform, you earn revenue. Apart from earning revenue, when you distribute, you don't only distribute the story, but you also distribute the talent that is in that particular production. You distribute the technical expertise of young people in the Eastern Cape that are on that particular production. And when people are looking at it, they are not only looking at the story, but they are looking at the entire value chain of what it took to make that particular product. Next slide, please. And okay, this is the slide, yes. And that's the reality about Eastern Cape. I made an example of Ujamal because he's from Tanzania, I'm also from Tanzania. The challenge that we have as Eastern Cape artists is that he's a tier 1 film producer and a director. We know Knuckle City, how it did on Toronto. It was supported by ECDC and many other institutions. We know how it Kings of Queenstown did. Beautiful projects. If I may ask, with a show of hands, how many tier 1s are in the room? Tier 1 creatives in the room. You see, only one. I will leave myself because I don't count myself as a creative. I create, I'm a creator. But creatives, people that are into tier 1, who you've done feature films, you've distributed successfully on, thank you. You see? Yeah. So, and that's the reality. So, next slide. So that's the current challenge that we're facing. We've got beautiful storylines. We've got authentic storylines. But the major challenge, the problem is that we don't have cinemas anymore. We don't have cinemas, even if they are. I'm not sure in PE, but I think in East London, there's one in Hemingway's, right? Only one. And in PE, 2. Wow. And King Williamstown, Queenstown, you see? Butsai, we don't have. Are you for real? Imagine.
There's independent cinemas, but not commercial.
You see, we don't. So our people, and it's not that I'm coming from a creative family that used to listen to radio and radio stories. Umakulu, 8 o'clock. I still know them like it was yesterday. Yes, cool, and our parents want to consume the content, but it's nowhere to be found. So the result is that the rural audience consume very little locally produced content, while local producers struggle to recover production investment. And that's the reality. Next slide, please. So, and those are the challenges. I did mention that SABC has been insolvent. Even before we heard about the Canal Plus, already there was a big, I woke up this other morning, I think it was early February last year, when I saw, because I'm very big on online news, MultiChoice has been declared technical insolvent. I was like, yeah. And I'm thinking MultiChoice, all the jobs. That was the first thing that I thought of. The jobs, because the jobs are aligned to the content that is commissioned and the content that we are consuming. And that's the major challenge. That's where the problem is. So the reality about Eastern Cape creatives is that we struggle to even secure a production deal with a broadcaster. So the best way now on how to grow our industry, just like what they did in Nollywood back in the days. For Nollywood to be where it is today, it was not an overnight, it was not by chance. They went and opened their own shack, started producing left, right, and center, local projects that are in line with their values, their tradition, their heritage, and their stories. And that's what we need to do. We can't wait for tomorrow. My iPhone, with an iPhone, you are able to shoot content. iPhone, 4K. You shoot content that is culturally relevant, that is in line with our values, because that's where most of this social is that we are having today. It's because our children, they are consuming something that is not in line with who we are as African people. So Eastern Cape Creatives, you need to start creating the content that is in line with our culture, our value, our heritage, our own stories. And you allow our people to consume it. Trust me, they will consume it. Next slide, please. And what is missing in all this is the distribution. If you've got a local OTT platform, there's no need for you to worry. And distribution being the missing link, it weakens the entire value chain. Because ECPEC and ECDC will give you funding and NFVF, and that is for development and production. But where is your distribution? Because you cannot, over the years, government has pumped in grant funding, and all of those projects are sitting on hard drives. Other hard drives are even lost. They're not even stored on cloud. Because even cloud storage, you need to pay it on a monthly basis. If you cannot pay on a monthly basis, it's gone. So if you don't have distribution, that means you are going nowhere. You are back to square one. And when distribution fails, the entire value chain weakens. So you need to be able to develop your project. You go on production, you take it straight to the OTT platform for distribution. After that, you get your audience to watch, you generate revenue after that. And you reinvest that revenue generated to another project. That's a complete ecosystem. Next slide, please. Hence, my commitment, my platform that will be launching in November this year on the second annual Amatole District Film Festival, which is supported by the ECDC, ECPEC, NFVF, SABC, University of Fort Hare. Those are my partners and funders. We will be launching Embo OTT platform, Embo Plus. And that Embo Plus won't launch itself, guys, without the productions of the creatives that are in this room. So starting next month, I'm putting a call out. I think the website should be up today or tomorrow, but we will put a call through my partners. I will share the information. We will put a call so that creatives in this room must start sending a link of their projects to be curated so that you can distribute your content. And you not only distribute the content, but distribute the creatives that are in that content. Because that's how Miss Kamata, the one that was on Gomorrah, that's how she was discovered. She was discovered through Gomorrah. If that project was not distributed on multi-choices, she wouldn't have secured the American deal. And Tusombedu, she's the one that started. So it's very key, and there were others before for her. That is a very key to distribute our talent in the Eastern Cape. We need to start doing so. Or else we will forever be crying that it's not happening. We need to start making things happen for ourselves, all of us in this room. Create your project, and what makes a good project? What makes a good product, film product? Good sound and good picture quality. A storyline might be taking your short left, but if you've got a good sound and good picture, I'm telling you, people will watch, but immediately you've got a very bad sound. You can't even start. So I encourage creatives in this room, start pulling up your socks and you show up. Produce a content that is culturally relevant, that will be able to talk to the market that Usai was talking about. You've got a great market in rural areas. You've got a great market in urban areas. We've got community Wi-Fi's whereby people will be able to download your project offline and online and be able to watch it offline. Next slide, please. And through that, you will be able to generate revenue and monetize. You'll be able to monetize on subscription, which Embo envisages to have a very low subscription of 30 rands. It's crazy, right? But it's doable. Back in the days when our Umamuzinzi Kulu, my mentor, was producing for SABC, they didn't have the crazy budgets, but Mike, that we are currently having now. They produce projects like Ijala Lamewele, Ingumbe Yeminyanya, Kwabagazi Denge. Until today, if you can ask the SABC gentleman that is here, the replays of those projects at SABC currently are still going in numbers, in thousands and thousands and thousands. And thank God we've got our veteran actress in the room who happens to be in one of those productions, Umamu Miranda Jav, with a show of hand. She is still earning because of those replays, because the numbers are still high. Hence, it's very key as creative to understand your market. I-content yakwaXhosa, it's a very, actually, the Nguni content is very strong. I remember when Igazi was commissioned back in the days, it had very high numbers. So what is stopping us from making projects that are culturally and that resonates with our market? So that when you are going on distribution, you already know that this is what I'm going to get. Because when you do a product, you don't start by, you start with distribution. You know, you do a product because you know where it's going. Just like we saw on picture 1 and picture 2. Picture 1, it's a home garden. You know that I'm doing this home garden so that I can be able to cook, or I can be able to have a hawker's stand, a location, and sell it for 5 rand, 10 rand, and make money. That is the mentality that we need to start at. Do content so that we can be able to make money and generate revenue, because that is the main reason for business, like Ubutsai said. Next content. And next one, of course, these are the features that I spoke about, that when you will be able, on an OTT platform, people will be able to consume, they will subscribe and they won't struggle to consume your content, because they will be able to download their titles in a community, through community Wi-Fi's, and be able to watch it offline. Next slide, please. I'm already there. So the final reflection, colleagues, is that the future of the film distribution is on an OTT platform. We are not running away from the fact that our broadcasters are there. Actually, OTT platforms are there to complement our broadcasters. An example of SABC Plus. SABC Plus earlier this year reached plus 2 million subscribers. And that's the national broadcast. So 2 million plus. And what will stop you if you calculate the revenue of 2 million, let's say by 2 million subscribers at 30 rands, someone that has a calculate, 2 million at 30 rands, it shows you the revenue. I'm not saying it's 30 rands for SABC Plus. I'm just making an example. 2 million subscribers at 30 rands. And that OTT platform is servicing rural, the target market is rural and urban areas at 30 rand, not at 199, at 30 rand, and they are consuming ifilm ka Xhaso, Eka Jav, and other creatives in this room at 30 rand per month. It's 60 million. And you redirect that money back to productions. And we're creating an ecosystem, a very strong one. And you start with a Baby Steps Foundation, training and development to ensure that all the creatives from the Eastern Cape are capable of servicing productions in this province, so that e-productions zobutsuku. Obutsuku mwasukune nabantu babe Gauteng baze Eastern Cape babafike kukho technical capabilities in the Eastern Cape. Then from there you move into production level, whereby Kaguku drama series, long format drama series, you're the first people to be employed. And your name is on the credit list. How beautiful. And you go to distribution. You don't only our Eastern Cape car, but nationally. Your name, when you Google SOE, already your name pops up in IMDb, in IMPD. Goes online. Do you get me, guys? Then from there, through that project, you are generating revenue. You are even getting salaries. Your career is slowly. We are getting there. By the way, that's how Durban started KZN. What is stopping us in this room not to do that? What is stopping the Eastern Cape not to do that? Because we've got beautiful institutions like ECDC and EPEC. I won't go into that politics. Before EPEC says they didn't submit e-reports, so that's why they are flagged. We won't be giving them money again. Let's not go into that. But all I'm saying is that with everything that we need in this province is in this room. I'm coming with my OTT platform. Hebetun, I need titles. I can't launch a platform with only 5 titles, Embo originals. I need titles. 7? Yes. So question and answers, because I still have 5 minutes. I think that's my thank you. Yes, but I.
When it comes back to something that I said earlier about so market constraints are a real thing when it comes to OTT platforms, and there's 2 things. Maybe I don't want to make my question too broad, but there's 2 things that OTTs struggle with. Is that on the one side you've got the cost of launch, whose content is expensive. Then you've got the cost of customer acquisition, like you said, the 30 rand that you're paying. Is 30 rand enough based upon how much market you have, right? And then positioning, if you're positioning it, and I'm asking for your thoughts on this, positioning it in a competitive market where you have over 500 streamers, whether they are, sorry for the anti-piracy guys, whether they're legal or not, but there are 500 options for eyeballs to attract.
what would you say is the competitive advantage for a streaming platform, giving consideration the cost of launching, the cost of acquisition, as well as the market competition that we're sitting in right now?
Okay, thank you, Botai. Regarding this, those are truly the honesty, because that's the first thing that was a red flag with regards to the launch of the OTT platform. When you are acquiring content, you must know that there are pirates that are out there that are not willing to pay even a rand to watch it. They can easily go to, pirate sites to watch it. But with regards to Expo Plus, we have we've got a competitive advantage of hosting with an existing platform. So when you are hosting it with an existing platform, that existing platform is a home, and it will give security to the rest of, like, let me make an example, what MultiChoice did, of ensuring that within MultiChoice, they still have, if you want in one subscription, you can be able to watch your Netflix, you can be able to have. So Expo won't, as much as it's an independent platform, but the host is already an existing platform that has done well in the industry, whereby it will provide security and any other measures that are needed. And 30 rands, Putsai, I know it's quite crazy, but for the target market that we are looking at, because we are looking at people that don't have the luxury of subscribing to your 199 and extremely expensive platforms. As much as we will be, it will, with that 30 rands, we will make the money at the end of the day. Our target market is the rural and peri-urban communities. And that is our market. Not only in the Eastern Cape, but even if when we are going to Bapalaborwa in Limpopo, or we are going to Tzaneen, or wherever,